really learn from Josh like what his show was going to be, and then figure out how I was going to honestly respond to that, because you couldn't have two people just like freaking out on stage next to each other. So I was like, I'm just gonna try. I remember one day in rehearsal I was like, I'm just gonna not move and see how that works. Like, I'm just gonna stand perfectly still and let Josh run around and get very tired. And so that's what I did. I just started standing very still in scenes, and Josh would be like all over the place, and I would just block myself to like stand in one spot. Yeah. And then that was weirdly funny, that like I was sort of immobile. But that takes a little extra figuring out. I mean, I do love them. I love both of them. I mean, Falsettos was a very special show to me for a very long time, and I think that particularly as a gay man to get to tell that story was really important to me. At the same way that the Boys in the Band was too, that like the fact that we had that whole, you know, outcast doing that show was really important and really, you know, for me. I mean, I'm not saying it was important to anyone else, but it was, I think, for our cast, that was a big deal to get to do that.
So that Boys in the Band was your sort of Broadway straight play premiere.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, so you had a chance to do something different, and you've done all straight acting, and you've done it on television and on film and on stage before, but what did it feel like in a Broadway house? Was it scary to do that because it's a little different?
It was a little scary, yeah. It was a little scary, and I felt like I was not working hard enough. I had to sort of like remind myself that like it was okay. I don't know, because like
you never got to sing a big song.
No, like when you're doing a music, like the warm up is different, and so like you told me, you were like, don't. You still have to warm up for plays. You're like, don't be an idiot. Like you have to do that. But the only way I really knew how to warm up was to sing, which really, Jim Parsons was like, what the hell are you doing in there? Because I would just still do like my vocal singing warm up, and I was like, that's probably good, right? But she would be like, why are you singing? So that's fine. That's how I knew to warm up. But it was really, it took me a second to sort of like relax, I think, because I thought that I should be doing something else. But that play was so fun to do, because once everyone is on stage, there's 9 characters, right? And once everybody's on stage, nobody leaves. And it was so fun to get to do something that was so naturalistic, with like going into a kitchen and getting plates, and then like we smoked these fake cigarettes, and we just like
really living.
Yeah, just like living in real time. It was really I've never done anything quite, because on TV, it's like it all gets broken up. Like you do get to do that stuff, but it's not as satisfying because it's split up into multiple angles and so many takes, and you don't ever feel like you get like a clean run at it. And that was a really fun thing to play with, of just on stage. Look at me, living my life. I'm drinking a drink.
Do we have a lot of girls fans in the house? That was, I think, a very iconic role, and I know from
in certain circles.
Well, hanging out with Andrew, I think we get a lot of girls fans coming out to us too. When I watch Girls, I see a lot of your smarts in it, like your kind of improv and things that you came up with. Yeah. What was that process like of creating Elijah and like working with Lena, and did you get to, improv and play, and how did you guys develop that role?
Lena was at the opening night of the Book of Mormon, and they had done the pilot of Girls, but they were just about to start filming the rest of the season. And they called me in to audition for this part, and I wasn't really right for it, but she had just seen me, and she was like, I think we should just see this guy and, see how it goes. So in the course of the audition, so it was kind of great that I wasn't right for it, because on paper it was everything that I was not. But so I just figured like, well, I can only do what I do, so I'm not going to try to do this other thing. So I'm just going to do what I do. So I went in, and I didn't anticipate improvising a lot, but then we just started making stuff up, and they were recording it all, and it was me reading with Lena, and it was just so fun, and it was so easy, and we just like made up like all of that stuff about me giving her HPV, like all of that was there's not a test for men. Like we just started like making stuff up. And it was really great. And then, lo and behold, I got that job, but it was the first time I had ever spoken lines on television. and it was on I think it was on a Monday. It was on a day off from the Book of Mormon, and I went not really knowing what to expect. And it was so fun and easy to do with her. And I realize now how lucky I was that that was my first time doing that, because the scene was just she and I sitting across from each other, and they did cross coverage, which means the camera was on both of us at the same time.
Yeah.
And so it was easier to improvise that way, because sometimes because of sound and because of editing, like it gets tricky, but because that was the setup, we could sort of do whatever we wanted, and of course I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
And I also didn't know that I was not supposed to ask to watch playback.
Oh yeah.
So Lena was directing the episode, and after every couple of takes, she was like, I'm gonna go back and look at what we've done just to sort of make sure it looked the way she wanted it to. And I, not knowing any better, said, can I watch? Just not cool. You're not supposed to do that on a film set. But she was like, I guess so. So I went back and watched, but it was really helpful because I was so nervous that I was gonna be too big to be on television, that all I had done was theater, so I was probably gonna make these like crazy faces, and even on stage people were like, your faces are bigger than Jim Carrey's. So I was like, this is not maybe gonna go well for me. This is not my medium. So it was helpful to go and actually watch it, but again, I realize now how lucky I was that I got to do that, because most actors
that's like a very fun,
do not.
playful set.
But that sort of continued through the whole time, the 6 years that show was on the air. It's like we did a lot of improvising.
Do you have a favorite moment, not just from Girls, but from being on TV, from all of your shows? You had The New Normal and Girls and...
I mean, there's an episode, and look, I'm not condoning this behavior, you guys. I want to make this very clear. But there's an episode of Girls in which Hannah and Elijah try cocaine. And we run all over the city, and we filmed it all over Manhattan. It was so fun and so dumb, and it was like summertime, and I was about to leave the Book of Mormon and about to start the New Normal, and it just felt like so many, I don't know, it was just like a magical summer. Yeah. And that was a really fun episode. And I remember that was also the time where I was like, I felt like solid. Yeah, even though we had done the show for a year, like that was the first time that I was like, I think I know what I'm doing. Which was helpful, because then going to LA and starting the New Normal was like, it moved so quickly that if I had been insecure about that at all, it really would have messed me up. So
yeah, it's like you gotta get your feet under you.
You gotta get your feet under you. Yeah.
What about on stage? Do you have like a favorite, like a singular favorite moment, or something really, really meaningful to you or funny?
Well, I mean, this is so unprofessional, but laughing on stage is like my favorite thing ever. Like when you're not supposed to be laughing. And Josh and I had some real good ones where like we just like could not hold our stuff together. And you try to be professional, but let's be honest, after like 500 performances, sometimes something's gonna crack. Yeah. And Christian and I hesitate to say this, but in falsettos, when poor Whizzer is dying in the hospital, we sometimes would have giggle fits. I think because it was so sad and it was so overwhelming, and like on a 5-show weekend, we would just be so exhausted and had been crying, for the whole week, and then something would happen and we would just, like I remember one time Tracy Thoms tripped with like a tray of like syringes and things, and probably like nobody noticed, but Christian and I sure did. And I thought that was the funniest thing. Like, then I was really crying because I couldn't stop, and I was like trying to cough and act like I was just being sick, but it was not great. But I do love laughing on stage.
I love that. So is there something that you wouldn't want to do on stage, or that you would be scared to do on stage? I mean, not like a horrible act or something, but I mean, is there some kind of a role or some kind of a, you've died on stage, you've been dying, you've been in love, is there any kind of a thing that scares you?
It would be scary.
I don't think I'd want to be naked on stage. Is that too obvious? Like, that seems terrifying.
Well, some people love it.
I know, some people love it, but no, that seems like that would scare me. Yeah. That would make me nervous. I mean, I got down to like tiny little underwear and head wig, and that felt very sort of like natural and a part of that story. Yeah. And honestly, it felt really good to like take the bra off and take the wig off and take like
It does
just
feel really
felt
good
like
to take the bra off.
freeing.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry to all of you who have to wear bras, because man, oh man, that was not right, not comfortable. So once like ripping all of that stuff off, I felt very. It was easy to be on stage and all of that.
Now,
but
I know that you have the Hedwig shoes at home.
I sure do.
And I've tried them on. Actually, I think all of your closest friends have tried them on and walked around the living room. And they're
Well, who else is going to
intense.
wear a size 12, 6-inch heel?
Yeah,
Like,
it's pretty crazy. But is there something that you've kept from every character that you've played? Or is that just a one-time thing?
No, I have. I don't have. I sort of regret it. I don't have things from a few shows, and I sort of and then in moving in New York and things like that, like I've lost things along the way. But I do have my Kevin Price name tag. I have my Whizzer cap. That's right. I have that. Well, I have a bottle of poppers from the boys in the band, because that was like one of my props. So I started to be a little bit better about it now, but like I wish I had something from Hairspray. I wish I had something from Jersey Boys, but it was harder with those because they kept running.
Yeah.
I mean, with my Book of Mormon thing, I just stole that name tag. I did that. I was like, I'm taking this. But at Hairspray, it's not like I could have taken my Fender glasses because like
Somebody else needed
them.
Yeah.
I don't have anything from except my memories, Susanna.
Yes.
I have my memories.
You do.
Yes.
I have a lot of pictures I was recently looking through of me standing in front of signs that said that you were in the show. Because I saw the first time that he went on in Hairspray, that he was what's he called, swing?
Well, I was playing Fender. I was in the ensemble, but I was understudying like a bunch of parts.
Yeah, and when you got on stage for the first time
for Link.
For Link, that I got to see that, and I saw the little name tag in the lobby. And
When it says that, like, in this performance, and most people are like, God damn it.
I drove all the way from Boston for that
not
one.
this girl.
Yeah.
She was happy. She was real happy. That was a real humbling experience, because I'd be so excited to be going on for Link. Or I covered Link, Corny Collins, and the male authority figure. Anyone who's done Hairspray knows what I'm talking about. And I would go on and I would feel so good, and then I would walk out of the theater and all of those little slips of paper with your headshot on it that say, at this performance, the role of Link Larkin would just be littering the sidewalks.
Everybody's shaking them out like,
oh, what's this? Gross. So to leave the theater and walk on my face to be like, that's Broadway.
That's pretty great. Now, I think you've gotten a chance to be on stage with a lot of your sort of idols or people that you really look up to in Broadway. But who is your kind of most influential? Like, who are the stars that? Mm-hmm.
I mean, the two big ones.
You got that Bernadette Peters.
Well, there's Bernadette Peters and there's Patti LuPone. So those were like the two big ones when I was a young boy that I really loved very much. And I was very fortunate to work with Patti on Girls, but she was so funny and she played herself, which was hilarious. And I just got to be a fan. Like, we improvised a whole scene where they were like, Elijah loves Patti LuPone. Elijah, why don't you just ask Patti LuPone a bunch of questions? So I went so deep, you guys. I was asking things about like Meadowlark and what was Group 1 like, and the producers of Girls were like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like, I'm asking my fan questions. You asked me to do this, that's what I want to know. What did she think the first time she heard Meadowlark? So that was really fun. I've never worked with Bernadette Peters, though. I do have her phone number. I sort of forced a friendship with her. I sort of stalked her until I wore her down. And then, were you in LA for that Into the Woods concert?
Oh yeah, they made me go.
Yes. So Into the Woods did this, was it 20? It was 20 years, right? 20 years? Maybe it was 25 years.
It was, big
25.
anniversary.
I think it was the 25th anniversary of Into the Woods, and the entire original cast was in Los Angeles, and they performed. They didn't do the whole show, but they did a lot of the show, and then did like a Q&A. And so of course I got a bunch of tickets, and Susanna was there, and our friend Sean Dooley, and we really did it up. But you would have thought that, like, I mean, it was insane how excited we were.
Oh yeah, I've never seen Andrew so excited.
And then I went backstage and we took pictures of Bernadette Peters, and I wouldn't let her go. There's a lot of pictures of me just like holding her. To the point where I was like, it's time to let go, Andrew.
I took the pictures.
You took the pictures.
My job.
Thank you, Susanna.
Yes. So what about, is there an actor that you wanted to grow up to be when you were
There were a lot
kid?
of people that I really admired. I mean, Jonathan DeKuchitz, who played Captain Walker and Tommy, that was one that I really sort of obsessed with. Michael Service, who played Tommy, that was one that I listened to a lot. When I got to New York, Brian Darcy James was a real big influence. Yeah. Brian Stokes Mitchell, that was another one that I really admired him quite a bit. And they were just guys that I thought, they were just so solid on stage. Their voices were incredible, but they were such easy actors, and just seemed so, I don't know, I just wanted to be that comfortable.
Yeah.
I wanted to be that guy.
I think it's pretty cool that I imagine that there are so many young artists in the world who feel that way about you. You know, I think that's a really cool part of the cycle of theater.
But I'm so young.
Yeah, well,
That's
but you're
not
solid.
true.
But you're so solid. But what does that feel like to know that that actors look up to you?
It's always very surprising when I see like the number of Elder Prices I've seen walking about today, and the Whizzers that I've seen. That really, because I very much was a fan. I mean, there was no BroadwayCon when I was a kid in the 90s, but had there been, I would have tried my damnedest to be here. But that was me in my, basement in my parents' house, was, just listening to these recordings and trying to sing like these people and sound like these people. So I sometimes feel like, first and foremost, I am a fan.
Yeah.
And the fact that I get to do what I do is just sort of, it's still a little unbelievable to me. So, I mean, it's funny on, you guys are funny on Instagram, I'll tell you what, in the comments. That, it's like the fact that like we're friends and people are like, wait, Elijah's friends with Dorota? Wait a minute. Like, it's nice to regularly blow people's minds.
Yeah, that is fun.
Yeah.
But this is what's so cool that you wrote this book, because it's like that's the Andrew that we get to see, the one that was kind of dreaming and looking up to other people and kind of following the dream, and then so it's nice that you gave that gift. That I think that's very inspirational to share that part of yourself. Do you think that there's something about your personality, about Andrew, that makes you a really good actor?
I don't think so.
I think you're very funny, so I feel like that. I feel like having a super quick wit and such a sharp sense of humor. I feel like I see that in all of your work on stage. So even I think that you're more heartbreaking because you also can like crack us up in the same time. And I think also I would say that you're very disciplined and determined. And so I think your career too is you didn't just get there by being lucky and just like floating around. So I think that those characteristics helped you.
Thanks, Suzanne. Thank you. I don't know what to say. That's very nice of you.
Well,
what
about being an actor? Do you think that being an actor makes you better at life in any way?
I mean, I'm pretty good at lying to get out of going to like parties and things. Like, I've gotten pretty good at that. Does it make me good at it? I mean, I guess meeting people. I've gotten much better at meeting new people since I've started working more. Because you two just are constantly meeting people.
So maybe also bouncing back from rejection too.
Yes,
I think
that's a good one.
Yeah, like sort of the way that you have to build your life. I mean, I think makes you a stronger person.
Yeah.
But is there stuff that being an actor kind of has a negative impact? Is there something that makes you worse at life?
I mean, it for a long time it didn't really, I think because I was so focused on getting a career started, I didn't really allow myself to have much of a life. The first couple shows I was in, I never took a vacation. I was always afraid I was gonna miss something. I didn't want to miss anything. I was always afraid to leave town for any reason because what if I, so I didn't like travel at all in my 20s. I was just here in
Single-minded.
New York, just single-minded, trying to lock it down. And then it's, you know, you have to realize that like, you have to have a life still.
Yeah.
You have to live and do things. And I was lucky that my best friends were all here. But there are things that I miss that I could have just like taken a show off. But I was so afraid to do any of that, to have any sort of personal life, that I just kept myself sort of very single focused on work. But it's taken me a while to figure out like, you can do both. You can still have a personal life and be professional.
Do you think if you weren't an actor, if this wasn't your talent and your calling, what would you be in life?
I feel like I would be on HGTV. Like I would want to be, I feel like you and I would be like, not in Waco, because that's Chip and Joanna Gaines territory, but maybe we'd be like one of those people who do like restoration houses, maybe in Omaha, maybe in Fort Wayne, maybe we just find some other place, and we could just be like living in a town and be like, well, this is a wallpaper that we chose. It's flocked. It's really special. We feel like it's gonna make the powder room cozy. That's what I would want to do. I'd want to be one of those people on the show. I still want to be one of those people. I have fantasies about like, what if, I pitch this to Patty Murin all the time. I was like, what if we buy a house and then renovate it, but on HGTV, and none of us have any skills? So like, Patty and I love to do that stuff, but like, I don't know shit about plumbing, or like electrical work. Like I can't do anything like that. So it would just be like us like Googling like how to put in a light socket.
Yeah, you would be like knocking down foundational walls.
Just like things crumbling. But we could get like a good group of people together who just like to do that, but don't really know how.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Would you watch that show? I do feel I have an announcement. Is now a good time for my announcement?
Yes, I think it is a good time.
Okay. Because we're almost finished here, unfortunately. But I want to say thank you guys so much for coming out today. This is my first BroadwayCon, and it means so much that you are all so welcoming and friendly, and thank you so much for being here. And this book that I wrote, which is called Too Much Is Not Enough, # Too Much Is Not Enough. They told me to say that. So the book is not out yet. The book is out on March 12th. But today we have a very special thing that we're doing, which is pre-order. If you haven't pre-ordered a book, if you do so today, you also get a special gift. Oh, what a gift. It's a cool like canvas pouch, and it says Too Much Is Not Enough, and you can like put your theater snacks in it. And it's very, very cute, but it's a special thing that we're doing today for pre-orders for the book, which again will be out on March 12th. So if you haven't ordered a book, this would be a very good way to do it, and then you'll get it early, and you get a gift. Who doesn't like swag, right? And I also want to thank you, Susanna.
Well,
Susanna was on she got in very late last night, and she still got all prettied up, and she came here. And we did such a good job with our outfits. We have the yellow and a black situation. Look at that. I look forward to the photos. But Susanna, thank you very much for being here, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I want to say one more thing. Somebody did say something, they asked me a question earlier about sort of important things that I learned along the way. And in writing this book, something that I learned that was very important was that yes, I am very proud of my career, but I'm also very proud of my friendships, particularly my friendship with you. And that will last and has lasted longer than any job and any callback or any nonsense that I will ever experience now. So I think that taking time to value those friendships and focus on your sort of more personal life rather than just focusing on sort of the professional part of your life is equally important. And I think that our friendship, hopefully the love I have for you comes through in this book, but also the importance of our friendship in general, I would say. So thank you, Susanna, very much.
Thank you.